Alison here, welcome back to Words and Pictures for a few minutes of fun. A few minutes of fun with some messy stamping today. You may remember the infusions stamping we did the other week with the berries. If not, I will link to that below. So I've got the infusions powders on the mat again, but I've also got lots of distress inks and distress oxides. I've got distress ReInkers. I might even put in some distress oxide ReInkers at some point. Cheap watercolour paper, torn into quarters, some PaperArtsy Smoothy paper cut into quarters. I've got a few of my PaperArtsy stamps, botanicals. I'm looking for the ones with a bit of presence in the silhouette, probably, as opposed to the outlines. We'll see how the outlines go as well. And then also these great Tim Holtz Wildflowers, which are long time favourites of mine. And I'm just going to have a play with how messy the stamping can get. Let's start with some leafiness. So I'm going to start with these on the grid block platform. I might need to clean the back of that because my guess is, being a very much used stamp, I might need a bit of extra adhesion. So as we did before, I am going to start with a fairly set image in the middle, not too loose for the first one. That appears to be Distress Oxide Pumice Stone, which wasn't really my intention, but it's lovely. And I might have two pieces of paper on the go so that I can straight away go with a secondary stamping to use up some of that ink. So I've got things ready to go in the background. I'm going to put some broken china distressing here on the mat and probably some speckled egg, and I'm just going to give that a spritz of water. And so instead of applying that ink to my stamp, I'm going to apply my stamp to that ink, which should give me a lovely loose watercolory image. Look at that. And this one I'm going to go straight in with what's on there because that's going to be nice and soft, which will mean it melts into the background, and then we'll have one coming in with a bit more presence. So to these I might well add some additional layered stamping over the top. So these are sort of background versions to start with. Just want to get that pumice stone back in the mix because it was so beautiful. So I'm letting that mix with those inks, and that gets me that lovely sort of oceany colour in the middle. There might well be some green to come into play for these. Yes, already very happy. Going to use up some more of this ink, getting some soft stampings in the background, and then I'll create my anchor image maybe with a different stamp. One more while I've got these blues and greys on the mat and the grass stamp, and then we'll change gear. So let's get you in. I love how they look mixed together. So that's pumice stone oxide and then these beautiful blues. I said one more. I'm not going to be able to resist it, am I? Well, maybe what I should do is shift stamp. That's what to do. Use up some of this ink, but with a different stamp. So I'll set this one to one side. And this is again just creating a different atmosphere, really, is what I'm after here from the wintry ones we did the other week. What I'm tempted to do now is put a little bit of green on the mat and let that start to blend with these. But I want to start with a blend of, because I'm just loving this oxide pumice stone, just making me deeply happy. So I'm going to let those do their thing on the mat. I might do one anchor image. Let's do one anchor image with this, with that pumice stone, and maybe have it as the image in the center of these blues here. I'm going to give it the lightest of spritzes because that will activate that chalky oxidization. Just pop that in there. Then I'm going to grab some greens and blues fairly randomly. So that's lined up on there in all kinds of orders. And now the other way around. That's pretty. So again, just these soft backgrounds give you that illusion of depth, something dropping away into the background. And then if you put a focused image in the foreground, then that feels like it's coming into focus in view. So I'm just going to dry that one just a touch and pop some ink directly onto it for once. And I don't know that I want it completely green. That was peeled paint that went on. So I'm going to add a little bit of pumice stone ink, not oxide, distress ink. Give that a gentle spritz again, just because I want this one a little more focused. There you go. So you get that presence of that image, which might be quite nice here as well. A secondary one could go straight in. And again, that much softer image. See the difference between those two stampings. So simple, so much fun. I want some oxidey stamping down the bottom here, so I'm just going to pick up what's there, let that green sneak in. And now you can see I haven't even put it on the grid block this time, just going in to get that greeniness going. Nice soft stamping. Right, let's do a couple more with this, because it is very good. But I'm going to try and hit the green with the stem this time, pick up some of those blues for the flower head. Nice and soft. Coming in and across, and again that's waiting for probably a more precise image in the center somewhere. I would like, I think, this one. So let's take you off. I'm keeping these on standby, these other stamps, because I may well want to come back and add in a little bit more of that. So the Distress ReInkers, if I choose to put them on the mat, are going to give you an image that is it'll give you much stronger colour, because the Distress ReInkers are really concentrated colour. I'm just going to layer some meadow grasses onto this one. So you can see having multiple backgrounds going at a time. This is not one at a time. This is being able to use the ink on the mat, build those layers, let things start to grow. I think I want a little bit of green onto this as well, actually. Having thought I would steer clear of the green on some of them, it's drawing my attention. So let's this is what I want next. I want this pressed umbel, which is a beauty, though I say so myself. Yeah, the not crossed stems is the solid one. Let's get a couple of loose ones of these somewhere in the background. Might as well use this ink that's on the mat. That's going to be green, so we'll just let it be green. Yes. Happy stamping. And that's really what this is. This is genuinely a few minutes of fun just taking these stamps out for a spin. I quite want a more definite image of this one, I think, somewhere in the middle of these umbels. So this is the one that's come to the foreground. So I'm going to put on that pumice stone oxide again, but then I think what I'll do is just soften it with a bit of this green. So it's just gone on in places. And this is plain. It's another experiment. I'm going to angle those flower heads so that they come sort of in between the others. There we go. So that's given me a more definite image. Nice. Let's have a couple of these being softer again. Oh, let's have you coming into this one. So again, I'm just keeping an eye on what I've already got on the mat so that I can add in more layers to some of these ones that are lying around. I'm not putting them too far away to dry. I want them here. It might be time. Might be time to mop some of this up. Ooh, well, let's go with a touch of, maybe a touch of Salvaged Patina. That's going to be quite strong. You can see how concentrated that colour is. So I am going to give it a spritz of water. But even then, this is going to be This is going to be full on. I need it to spread out a little bit. So let's just give it a little swirl around. There it is. So this will be a really concentrated colour in a good way, I'm hoping. Let's get it on. Yeah, really vivid, beautiful. That's amazing. Really strong colour coming into the centre of things. Let's do a little bit of grassiness in that, I think. Just heading up the sides there. Look how soft and lovely. And into that, I think I want to add a little bit of, what have I got here? Bundled sage. Just to soften that full-on turquoise that's going on there from the Salvaged Patina. Let's just, a little bit of greeniness into the mix. So again, this is concentrated colour. So it'll get us something nice and strong. But they're still going to be very soft stampings. But you can see the difference of intensity. The soft distress inks, which are already a diluted version of this. This is what you re-ink with. That's really nice. Really, really nice. Let's have a couple of you in that greeny version. Fun. Maybe onto, no, I don't want to do anything more to that one. I like it as it is. I like it as it is. It's really interesting. It's given us a sort of dark summer green by mixing those two. I'm going to pick those up, I think. I think that's enough of that. Maybe I'll do a couple with the Tim Holtz Umbel. Let's have him in here. Let's have the watercolour paper. Oh, that Salvaged Patina is just a glory. Beautiful. And again, I might bring a more definite image into the foreground of that one in a minute. Look at all that beautiful inkiness. Should have done a mop-up. Yes, I should. Yes, don't ask me. Yes, I should. Should have done a mop-up sweep with that. Not to worry. I've got this paper towel. I can dry this out and use that as a layer in a journal page as well. I think I do want just a couple more with a greyish feeling. Partly because I'm just really enjoying this pumice stone oxide today. Do you get those days when suddenly one colour just becomes the thing your brain wants to play with? Just becomes part of that day's mood, that day's pleasure. So I've got the pumice stone ink here as well, which I think might be quite nice to add into that mix. It's much darker than the oxide. So I'm just going to pop that around the edges for now. But it has got that lovely meadow flower feel to it, the pumice stone. It's grassy stems, that sense of grassy stems just blowing in the wind, that soft sort of off beige colour to them. Really loving that. Going to have some more of it. Let's have the oxide and a little bit of the ink. Where did I put it down? There it is. And I'll give those a little spritz so they can mix together. And to oxidize that oxide into its beautiful chalkiness. That's so pretty. And then the other thing that I really was enjoying is a mixture of that oxide with maybe some broken china. I love the sort of soft beach green. It's like sand dunes, beachy sand dunes that happens as these two start to do their mixing. Let's go with a fresh bit of paper. Go with some meadow grass. Oh, I know. Let's put some Umbels onto here. Maybe with a gentle mixing of what's on the mat there. That's really pretty. Let's have some more of those sideways ones, so that in the middle I can then go with one that is more precise, and I think it might be the pumice stone ink with a touch of that oxide around the heads, just to give them a highlight. And it's not until you're playing that you really sort of get the idea of exactly where you want something to go. I'm going to put in some stems at the bottom here, so just using these, the base of these stems turned upside down gives me a kind of grassiness here. Also disguises where these stems weren't quite long enough to reach the bottom. Does a good job. I want some of these here because I think that's going to be beautiful. Really soft and fadey. Love that. What else have we got? Oh, look, you could do with something else going on. Let's have this here. So I might be just about there. So with these, as I say, adding a bit of foreground stamping, add a bit of detail stamping to some of these. Maybe some words, maybe some little outlines. But I'm going to wipe up a little bit first and then come back and see what else I want to do to some of these. A little bit of this around here. Now I'm just using up ink. And of course the other way that I can use up this ink that is on the mat is to bring the little spatter brush back into play, pick up some of that colour, and just anything that happens to be nearby can have a little finishing spatter of ink droplets. Always worth it. I'm just going to go over everything that's over here with this leftover ink. Spatter, 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 spatter. And I'll be back shortly to add a couple of final little possibilities to some of these. Bit of ephemera stamping could be good, couldn't it? Don't you think? Bit of ephemera stamping, and then on another day in another episode, maybe we'll add some paper dolls. Maybe we'll add some of my figures silhouettes. I think there's a romance and a simplicity about this at the moment. These at the moment that I don't want to mess with too much today. Right, let's see if we just do a little bit of simple stamping. I'm going to clear up and I'll be back. Right, looking at adding maybe to some of them some detail stamping, maybe to some of them some ephemera stamping, maybe some of them both. Got this lovely little Tim Holtz grasses one from that same set. Always been a favourite of mine, and I'm wondering whether that wants to go on a couple of these, because it has such an elegance to it. It also exists as a die cut, which I adore as well. But I'm just thinking maybe a couple of stems of that is a beautiful thing. This is Beach Cruiser Archival, so whatever else I do, this one is going to stay put. And it's just adding that sense of focus that I was talking about, of bringing things into the foreground. I think I could do with a bit of it maybe here, just a delicate foreground stamping. Maybe in some Pebble Beach. I love this one just being so overgrown and wild and sort of a little bit mad with the colours here, but it does want that sense of something more solid to allow that wildness to just be celebrated. That's got a depth to it that I'm really enjoying. Grand. These are also really good as grassy stems if you don't ink up those seed heads at the top. I was wondering whether these Umbels might want to go somewhere. They're beautifully windswept. Perfect for a beachy look. In fact, maybe they want to go in the middle of here. I did have another big book somewhere. Nice tall one. There we are. But probably in quite a pale colour. I don't think I want them to... I don't think I'm going to go even with the Archival on that. I think I might go for some more of this oxide pumice stone that has become an obsession in this session. An obsession in this session. Obsession. There we go. That's what I want. There. good foam contact because it's a complex image. Oh, look at the subtlety of that. Yes, very happy with that. Might want those somewhere else as well. Let's have a look. There was one that was still blue and grey. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because this is on the watercolour paper. So it does suck in the ink more easily. So what I might do is start with, this is the Pebble Beach Archival. I'm going to take those stems all the way down to the ground. And then I'm going to come in just over the top with a few highlights of that pumice stone oxide. Maybe the lightest of watery spritzes. And just add that in. There's some grasses there. Really delicate, but really pretty. Maybe there's room for one more of those. Yes, here, look. This time maybe a bit stronger because there's quite a lot going on in that background. So I'll stick with the, actually maybe it should be as strong as Beach Cruiser because this is the Salvaged Patina ReInker. Quite a lot going on there. Oh, we never did any infusions, did we? Huh. I might do just a couple of infusions just to finish me off. I didn't mean to finish me off. Look at that. That's grand. I've got a couple of pieces of card left here. So let's just go with, I'm just curious to see how this pumice stone oxide that I've been playing with plays with some of these oxides. So let's put a nice oxidey stamping of these leaves here. There we go. And then let's have, what should we have? We'll have the sage, which is a mix of green colours. Give that, oh, that's a very grey green. Not in the mood for that. Let's go slimed. Why not? Really, really bold, beautiful, slimy colour. There we go. Lovely and green. That's much more of a beachy thing. The sage, because the infusions have within them multiple colours, you do get a variation of what turns up on the desk each time. And that version of the sage that just came out there was just too grey for the mood I'm in today. But this is perfect for that sort of sand dune vibe, isn't it? Just spot on. Going to put some Salvaged Patina onto the stamp and onto the mat there. There's the oxide. So again, this has got a chalkiness to it. That's really pretty. And I think those two mixed is going to be a thing of joy as well. It's going to be very beachy. I want more paper. More paper. Give me more paper. So let's let that do a bit of mixing. Yes, that's a happy place. Oh, not, it was a happy place till I picked it up and dropped it in the wrong place. Let's put some of these in the mix. I'm turning that around so that I get heads in turquoise and the base in, oh, how good is that? How good is that? More. I've still got some more on there. More paper. This as a mix is magic. So this is the slimed infusions with Distress Oxide Salvaged Patina, and that's making me deeply happy. I'm gonna have some of these Tim Holtz grass stems in it as well, I think. That's just pure sand dune, isn't it? It's perfect. Let's have some of you going up there. I want some more of the blue. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sorry, just lost my ephemera stamp on the floor. Pick it up before it goes missing forever, because that does happen. I quite want these in this mixture. So this is the Distress Oxide Salvaged Patina and a little bit of extra slimed onto the mat there, infusions powder. Let those mix up. And let's go straight in like that, shall we? See what we get, because that's kind of the whole point of the infusion stamping. is not to be in charge. Let something else happen. Yes, you did just see the stamp fall off there, which also just was clearly meant to happen. That's a huge, great splodge of stuff going on there that I am just going to pick up because it was just too much. Even for me, too much freedom and spontaneity. Let's go with, I'm just going to take out a little bit of this, bring in a bit more of that. Let's go with these Umbels. The colours that this is mixing up, that I'm not remotely in charge of, are pure magic. Loving that rather a lot. Let's have some more of this stem because it's a beauty. Grand. What did I say I was doing? Ephemera stamping? Yeah, right. Not when there's messy stamping to be done. Let me add it. Let's pick up just a little bit more of that browniness. So beautiful. I must do an all neutrals session at some point with just walnut and the pumice stone. Oh, that would be magic. Grand. So, as I was saying, as you were, let's take a couple of these. But you can see that detail stamping, the non-messy stamping, just adds a little something to what goes on in these. And then a little bit of ephemera stamping will add another layer of possibility. But I'm going to stick to fairly subtle colours as I do it, so that it doesn't take the eye too much from the other things that are going on. But I also think when you do this kind of wild stamping, that a little bit of geometric control, something nice and circular, something nice and rectangular, can really make a difference to how the eye perceives the wildness, because then it becomes intentional wildness versus something precise and certain. And with those, again, if you want just a little bit of extra detailing, you can take a little bit of ink and just bring this to the fore by giving it, filling it in so that it looks like a piece of ephemera that's been stuck on, as opposed to just a stamp that's there. So that was stamped in Archival, which means that I can just go over it with a bit of ink and create that lovely look of a label. It will soften the grasses that are behind it, but that's also not a bad thing, because it allows that ephemera stamp to kind of come to the fore in a really nice way. I think I'd like that somewhere else as well. Might do it this time in a beach cruiser. That's going to be a bit more full on, so I want to do it on one that's got a bit of strength to it. Maybe one of these ones that's got a bit of the Salvaged Patina. ReInker, because that'll be able to take it, if you see what I mean. Maybe something like that. And you can see I'm stamping two at a time, but at different heights, so in the long run they're not going to appear in the same place as each other. That's nice, isn't it? Should we do that with maybe with a bit of speckled egg oxide? So a little bit of water, just soften that. It's mixing with the pumice stone that's already there, but I think that's going to give us a nice vintagey looking label. Good, I like that. And it doesn't just have to be your rectangles. You could also come in with something like a postmark, something like a nice round label. Let's have a couple of these in places. So postage markings somehow always have that romance of travel and distance and possibility in them. I think they're a lovely thing to add. And you can see I'm going for partial stampings because that gives me that sense of something the eye wants to look at off stage, as it were. It wants to follow that imagery. And again, same thing, I can pick up some of this ink fill those in to give them a bit more presence if I want to. Oh, I love this. Where's that one I just picked up off the floor? The lost ephemera stamp is lost. All gone ephemera stamp. It's chaos on the mat now, but that's as it should be in a fun session. I wonder where it went. I am going to find it because I want it. It was hiding under an ink pad. This is the one I was after. It's the top of a bandage, top of a vintage bandage roll. Iodoform, clearly some bandage that was impregnated with whatever you need to keep a wound from going septic. Ugh, sorry, didn't mean to get into that really today. But these with the infusions are really good, aren't they? They've got that wildness that I was talking about. So again, if you're partially stamping, rather than put your ink on the mat, you can always do 2 at a time, and that'll get you double bubble for your effort. I might have some on the bottom there. Let's go like so. There we go. Yes, and I'll do a secondary stamping of that, so it'll be lighter at the top, and then maybe we'll do one last little bit of, oh, here's a stem I like. So this little tiny stem, which comes along with these, is a real treat of one that could just add on these ones that are a bit bare at the bottom, for instance. It could add just a little bit of extra detail coming up from the bottom of those, which I think is really pretty. That's very nice. Let's have a bit more of that going on. Beach Cruiser, maybe Beach Cruiser. I think I'm going to quite like it in amongst these grassy stems that I stamped using the ends of the stamp. I think that's just adding a bit of detail. You can see I'm changing the angle of it and the height of it every now and then just to create a bit of difference. I think we might be nearly there. Might want to put a little bit of word stamping, we'll see. But it's this layering of the detail and the soft that just gets you a variation in depth, which can be so effective. And yeah, messy sand dunes is where I'm at with this, very much so. That sort of sandy, windy, breezy look. So many of them. I will, of course, be zooming in for a close-up on these so that you get a little look at what I've been up to, what we've created with these multiple stampings in multiple inks and ReInkers and powders, just creating a kind of softness and freedom in what we're doing. All of these might get more details added to them later. One of the things, as you know, that I love to do is give things a little outline. No idea whether this pen's where it says it's metallic. Don't think I've ever seen this pen before in my life. Don't know where it's come from. Oh no, that's way too thick a nib. Let's find something much, much finer. What are you? You're 0.05, so you're very fine. So even though you're black, yeah. So this can go as a little doodle all the way around, like so, creating that lovely framing effect that brings the eye in. Oh, so good. A word, timeless. I see the word timeless and I want it. I take the word timeless, and I'm really enjoying this hit of turquoise that's happening, so I'm going to go with this Salvaged Patina and over the top of it some Beach Cruiser, and hope that those two will pick up a kind of timeless turquoise to go in here. Perfect. I might do a bit more word stamping and then zoom in so that you can take a look at these. Thank you so much for your company, as always. If you've enjoyed today, do give me a thumbs up, comments, questions down below. I will, as always, list the ingredients we've been using today And yeah, in the description below you'll find links to the other video I mentioned with the berries for that infusion stamping technique in detail. Thank you for your company, as always, and happy crafting, everyone.